Red flags everywhere. Red flags here, red flags there. The red flag regime. Everything this Trump regime does is shady. Everything they do is a cover up of a cover up of a cover up, a Russian nesting doll of cover ups, which is interesting, of course, because you have Iran's foreign minister Aragchi meeting in Iran or meeting in Russia on behalf of Iran, talking about the strong cooperation between Iran and Russia throughout this entire U.S. and Netanyahu catastrophic invasion of Iran, while now we're learning from reports in Reuters and Wall Street Journal that U.S. intelligence officials are trying to determine whether if Donald Trump just declares a victory and then just doesn't do anything and just like leaves and just pretends that we won and says, we did it, yay, which is basically what he did, what Iran's response is going to be if they'll just open up the Strait of Hormuz and we all basically pretend that it's over while Iran actually controls the Strait of Hormuz. And what if we just do nothing? That's what we're thinking of. That's what apparently the brilliant minds right now are thinking about in the White House. Kind of like what they did with COVID, like a miracle, it's all gonna go away. Well, I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network, and this is Ben on Breaking News, where we break the news and we discuss things the way corporate news refuses to, which is right after the purported incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, while all of the corporate news tried to make themselves the center of the story and tried to act how heroic they were and how heroic Donald Trump was. And we all need to unify and we all need to just forget about the Trump regime covering up child sex trafficking rings and a disastrous economy and war crimes abroad and how people can't afford anything. This was a third assassination attempt, they've told us, and we need to just ignore all of the actual facts. We shouldn't ask any questions, just buy the regime narrative. And here's what I have to say about it. Regardless of what happened or didn't happen, I want to talk about the undisputed facts, which is how did the Trump regime behave after the alleged incident? Were they solemn? Did they carry themselves with the solemnity of a moment where there was an assassination attempt, where there should be sober reflection? Did they do that? Or were they basically laughing and high-fiving and within minutes started making it political? No more No Kings rally. Build a golden ballroom. We need to make sure that people don't have the right to vote anymore, and we need to stop people from freely voting and pass these voting suppression acts. We need to stop the left in their tracks. This just shows you all the violent rhetoric that's used on the left. How dare they tone the temperature down? Donald Trump, a unifier. He's bringing the people together. What happened right after? So when the Trump regime are laughing, when Alina Habba is saying 10 of 10 outfit and posting selfies of herself after the incident, when I see them behaving like that, then I'm sorry, you're not going to get a response from me that builds sympathy because I'm seeing how you're behaving. And while corporate news was like, oh my gosh, can you believe it? How heroic. What was heroic? The shooter got nowhere near the venue. Yes, the shooter was on the premises, barely got through the first kind of line of the security zone, and then was tackled. We don't even know at this point, and we need more information, if the individual was even a shooter. Did that individual shoot? Because there's a lot of conflicting information about what happened. When you look and you see from the surveillance camera, it doesn't look like it, but it's possible it happened somewhere off, but it looks like he was tackled kind of right away. Was the Secret Service member who was shot, was that friendly fire? Were all of those shots Secret Service shots? What happened? And all we're hearing about is build a golden ballroom. The left is terrible. This is why you need to elect Republicans in the midterms. And then red flags everywhere, red flags here, red flags there. Two other things happened. Number one, it seems like Donald Trump himself drafts a motion to the federal judge overseeing the case that has currently blocked construction of the Golden Ballroom. For real, it looks like Donald Trump was like the ghostwriter of the dumbest motion I've ever read in my life. I have finals coming up in the undergrad law class that I teach. If an undergrad submitted to me a document that looks like what Trump's DOJ filed with the Attorney General's name on it, they would get an F in my class. It was the most embarrassing document just to read, regardless of your political view, that the DOJ filed this slop that looked like a Trump social media post saying, well, now we need a golden ballroom. I'll share that with you in a moment. So that was filed like last night or early this morning. So that's a red flag. And now all of a sudden, the regime that talks about social media censorship and big tech censorship, well, they're in bed with big tech. We know that. And now the regime, they're bringing social media criminal cases. They've brought another indictment against James Comey for posting seashells that said 8647 on them, despite the fact that Trump regime influencers posted that all the time as it relates to former President Biden, despite the fact that 86 means get rid of and doesn't mean like I have an intent and I've established the mens rea or mental state to engage in a literal killing or like an assassination. That's not what 86 means. You get 86th out of a bar. You get 86th out of a venue. You get 80. It doesn't mean you've gotten killed in the bar. It means they get rid of you. You get 86th. But the Trump regime snowflakes, the social media Gestapo, this should be an issue regardless of political party, that the federal government is bringing criminal charges for threats against the snowflake president of the United States because of a social media post by the former FBI director. The same people who have been whining about, oh, big government censorship, big government. You brought a social media criminal case, you freaking snowflake losers. I mean, aren't these people just the biggest effing losers in the world? It's a crew of snowflake losers. Who likes this crew? They're weird. They're losers. They bankrupt things. It's like the worst human beings. I don't care what your politics are. These are like just terrible humans at everything. They're not talented. They're dumb. They're losers. They're snowflakes. And they're going to lose this criminal case. What's going to happen? You're going to have James Comey show up. Sir, what'd you do? What'd you do? I posted a photo of seashells. And did you threaten to kill him? No. Why did you do it? Because it was seashells and he was being humorous. So you didn't threaten to kill him? No. What, is Donald Trump going to testify? Is he going to show up and go, I was so nervous. I saw the seashells. I'm the guy who claims that Iran's going to blow up. In 12 hours, Iran's supposed to blow up, right? Based on Donald Trump's Sunday Post, the pipes are going to be so filled with oil. Trump's figured it out. 18-dimensional chess. I'm just looking at my clock right now. Iran is set to detonate, folks. It's set to detonate in 12 hours based on Donald Trump's understanding of mechanical engineering, where apparently when the pipes get full, it blows up your country. And then this morning, Donald Trump, the tough guy who believes he is a victim of a criminal case, right? For there to be criminal cases, there has to be a victim. Always the victim, Donald, always the victim. He claims that he's the victim of a social media smear that made him the victim of a death threat, a threat against him. Wah, wah, wah. I mean, these are pathetic losers. I just watch this and I'm like, these are losers. And if you're on the right wing, this was the why don't you do the Russia criminal case, huh? Isn't that you couldn't just think about how pathetic you are. You couldn't do the Russia one. You couldn't do that. You couldn't pull off the main thing that you were allegedly mad about, right? Couldn't do that. Why not? If it was a smoking gun case, why couldn't you do Russia? Should it be why? Maybe because, I don't know, Putin's coming to the G20 in December, invited by Donald Trump, maybe because Trump continues to attack NATO, where NATO's no longer even holding NATO meetings anymore for the next 2 years. They don't want to hold a single meeting because they don't want to have Trump there. They rather just go about their business quietly and try to wait it out. Think about that. So while that's going on, you couldn't get your Russia. So what do? You do a criminal case against the guy for social media? I would say, could you imagine if it was the other way? If Biden prosecuted Jake Posobiec for him writing that, and there was a criminal prosecution? Could you imagine? You know who would be outraged if Biden did that? I would be outraged if he did. I'd be like, you're doing criminal prosecutions against the guy for social media posts? Are you kidding me? You think that you're a victim? It's just objective loser behavior, but also connecting it to red flags everywhere. What all of the Trump regime influencers are now trying to be like also is, you see, this purported shooter at White House Correspondents, he got his marching orders from Comey. That's where this came from Comey's seashells, eggshells, his seashell post. That was the message, the coded losers. Losers. My whole thing about this MAGA movement in general, though, it was always just like amazed me, is how a group of freaking losers were able to co-opt culture and make people be like, oh, I guess this is cool. Like, I mean, the idea that early on in the Trump regime, you had NFL players doing Trump's loser dance. Hey, well, you know what? You're doing the loser, stupid YMCA dance, loser dances, loser behavior. Why are you letting the losers take? I mean, for real. Maybe it's because people can't handle the relentless barrage of Trump bending reality. Maybe it's because it's just nonstop and you rather, you know what? I want to go on with my life. I want to make some money. I don't want to deal with that. I want to go to the country club. You know, I don't want to, I need to make sure my stock price is there. I don't want to interfere with all of it. Well, in the long run, like the saying goes, he went for this group. I didn't do anything. I wasn't in that group. They went for this group. I didn't do anything. I wasn't in that group. And then they came for me and there was nobody there for me because I wasn't there for the other people. It's ridiculous. I do want to point this out, though, because I think this is a story that's not getting enough attention and needs more attention. You know, there was a big protest in Washington, D.C. I covered it here on the MeidasTouch network with Maha influencers, Make America Healthy Again influencers. Some of these people, like one of the people's names was, I think, Vani Hari, I think is her name. And she goes by like Food Babe. And she was a big Obama supporter. And then she got pulled over into RFK Jr. world and then pulled over into Trump world when Trump claimed that he was Maha and there was a Maha MAGA unification, if you will. And now she was protesting in front of the United States Supreme Court because there was a hearing where the Trump regime was supporting Bayer, which acquired Monsanto, assert federal preemption or federal immunity to block all state failure to warning lawsuits based on glyphosate causing cancer. So RFK Jr.'s kind of big issue were these pesticides and herbicides that were in our food products causing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and other types of cancers. And probably the biggest target of RFK Jr. was glyphosate, which is the ingredient in Roundup, which was controlled by a company called Monsanto, which was then acquired by Bayer. Now, RFK was so involved in this that he was in all of this litigation against Monsanto, where Monsanto was sued for billions of dollars for glyphosate causing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and all of these cancers. And he built this kind of niche, but pretty robust following of kind of former Obama supporters with his con. And his con was he recognized that this was an area where lots of people were passionate about, right? It's an area that should be non-controversial. It should be. There's areas of controversy, let me be clear, but removing a lot of the chemicals that go into our food and that hurt our children and cause cancers and things like that. And so RFK built like his movement, if you want to call it, going after Monsanto and glyphosate. And then when he's part of the Trump regime, not only do they not go after the manufacturers of glyphosate, they issue a damn executive order promoting glyphosate as their key ingredient, like the most preferred herbicide that we need to use everywhere is codified in a Trump RFK Jr. executive order encouraging the production of glyphosate, not even removing it, not even doing neutral, promoting the thing that all of these people in RFK's Maha movement were there to block because they were also part of this RFK movement and they recognize the threats of glyphosate. And then there is an agriculture bill that is working its way through the Rules Committee right now, where Trump and the GOP want to build in permanent legislative immunity to protect glyphosate and companies that use glyphosate from ever being sued, permanent immunity. And then in the Supreme Court, there was an oral argument that took place this week under a federal fertilizer, herbicide, pesticide, whatever this federal law is. And the argument by the big agriculture companies and the companies that use glyphosate is that there's federal preemption over state law. So all of these failure to warn cases, which use state law to sue, should all be dismissed. And the Trump regime supported the amicus brief to give immunity to the companies that use glyphosate. And so why am I even bringing this up? It was a fascinating protest that isn't getting enough attention, where you had Maha moms, you had Democrats, you had independents, you had Thomas Massey, and it was a large protest outside the United States Supreme Court. And I bring this up to show you that, there's a reason when you look at Trump's approval and you see 33% approval right now. People are sick and tired of his lies, of the nonstop drama, of feeling like we're non-consensual extras in a dystopian reality show, when all we want to do is just get along with our families and live our damn lives. We don't need the government being the social media prosecutors who are literally putting people in jail. Remember when these snowflakes would get upset when Twitter would ban somebody from saying Nazi things or spreading lies about COVID? Oh, big tech is censoring me. Dude, the government's literally bringing criminal prosecutions now against people whose social media posts they don't like. Snowflakes, loser behavior. And it is an abuse by the executive branch. What the hell are we even doing here? This is where we are. April 28th, 2026, as a nation. It's just so damn pathetic. You got Donald Trump posting with King Charles, 2 kings with a king emoji. Loser behavior right there. 2 kings. I'm trolling. You think I'm a king? I'm a king. Look at me with the king. Loser behavior. Dude, you're entrusted with a really important position, the presidency of the United States. You've demeaned the office to basically being an internet troll. As King Charles said, and I think we have the clip, short, but I think very important moment in his speech to the joint session. The president's words matter. The words of America still carry weight in the world. Jeremy, if we've got that clip from King Charles' speech, can we play that one first? Let's play that clip. Not sure that we have that clip. I'll go call that clip in a second. It's titled that, Jeremy. In the meantime, let me show you what Senator Moody had to say, going back to the red flags everywhere. Let me show you what Senator Moody had to say today. This is Senator Moody. Let's play it.
Be the people who care about the success and future of this country that the people that elected you sent you here to be. We know that the person who attempted the assassination on President Trump's life on Saturday night had attended No Kings rallies. I mean, we are talking about so much more than another incident. How many times are we going to have an assassination attempt? How many times are we going to have another radical left attack? You know the radical left attacks, the violent attacks have increased dramatically in the last few years. And I would just say this has become so much more about another incident or another attack. This is no longer about two teams battling on the field for policy and how to achieve the success for this nation. You now have a team who is purposefully trying to take out a quarterback. It's like Bountygate all over again. They want him carted off the field.
Bountygate? They want to take out the quarterback? What are you talking about? Then you have MAGA Republican Congress member Riley Moore. Here's what he had to say. Let's play this clip.
Well, DOJ, is pushing to drop this lawsuit against the construction of the White House ballroom. This has become a security issue in particular. They're saying, look, this third attempt on the president's life creates the urgency to get a secure event space in place. The National Trust Preservation Group does not want to back down off this lawsuit, Congressman. We want to remind our viewers this ballroom is being privately funded. It is not taxpayer funded. But what can you do to make sure that the president and his cabinet are safe during large-scale events?
Well, you would think this town would be tired of Donald Trump being right all the time. And whether it's a short-term prediction that comes true or a long-term, this president has always had the ability to see around corners, kind of long horizon, and make decisions that are best either for the country or for his business, which is why he was such a successful businessman.
He wasn't a successful businessman. And just how pathetic do you have to be to regurgitate something like that? What do you talk? And Fox is like, let's remind everybody that the taxpayers are paying nothing for it. First off, that's a lie, because you're apparently building some super secret bunker underneath. Taxpayers are paying for it. Separately, let's freaking read. Let's read the budget. Why is Donald Trump asking for, I don't know, approximately $400 million for White House renovations in the fiscal year 2027 budget, where he's also asking for $1.5 trillion for the military industrial complex? Oh, $400 million. That number seems to be, I don't know, the exact amount of money the ballroom costs. That's interesting that a $400 million renovation fee is in the budget. So the taxpayers are paying for something here. $400 million is like hundreds of percentages more than what White House renovations ever have been in another budget. So that's a fascinating lie. And then just the constant, let us remind the American people what's really going on here with the ball. We don't want to hear about the ballroom. We don't want to hear about two kings. You know what we want to hear about? We want to hear about when will American people get health care? When is that plan that Donald Trump says, which is going to fix everything, that is 2 weeks away? When's the health care plan going to arrive? When are prices going to go down like Donald Trump promised would take place on day one? When's the war in Ukraine going to end? Because it seems like now there's a never-ending war with Iran that's on the same trajectory. We're working on it. We're winning. Oh my God. Iran's negotiators are all dead. Oh, regime change. Oh, look. Iran's going to blow up. Iran called me. They called me and said, sir, we surrender, sir. What can we do to help you? And I said, listen up, Iran. Listen up, Mr. Iran. Here's what you got to do. You got to agree to everything. You got to submit. You understand? And they agreed. And Iran called me up and they said, sir, we're so sorry. We're so sorry for blocking the Strait of Hormuz. You want us to send excavators with the United States military, sir? And we can go and get you some of that nuclear dust. You could bring it back to the United. Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Oh, deal. What friggin' idiot world is this guy living in? Just making things up. None of that's happening. Iran's foreign minister's with Putin right now in Russia, outwardly talking about their plans together, their great cooperation together, how they've been top allies. Putin came out, not just Lavrov, which is Russia's foreign minister, Putin, to shake Aragchi's hand as though Aragchi showed up as a conquering hero. Trump removed sanctions against Russian oil while Russia is helping Iran publicly. This isn't like some secret. They did a press conference yesterday. Lavrov, Aragchi, Putin. They did their meeting in public. We can see their coordination. So great job by getting rid of the sanctions on Russian oil to allow them not only to fill their war machine to attack Ukraine even more, when Ukraine actually has the weapons, ability, will, and the conscription rates over like 1 million soldiers actually to win, and they've launched successful counteroffensive. But yeah, go help Putin. I'm sure that's going to result in the peace deal that you want. But now they help Iran, and they've always been helping Iran. And the foreign minister Aragchi from Iran's a conquering hero now in Russia. Let's focus on the facts. And, Trump bends this reality, creates some fan fiction story that's some like weirdo version of Game of Thrones. It's not the reality. Sure, Donald Trump may be the mad king, but whatever this fictional world is where he has these negotiations and he's speaking with people in his mind, that's actually not anything that's happening. And then like Fox or state regime media will be like, all right, the United States canceled its meeting over the weekend. Now, Witkoff and Kushner were supposed to meet with Iran and Pakistan, Islamabad. But when Iran sent Donald Trump a proposal and Trump didn't like the proposal, he said, we have to cancel it. We have to wait till a better offer comes. You're just making all of this. You're like writing a script of the worst season of Game of Thrones that is a fictional world that is not happening, and it's weird, and it's a market manipulation scheme. Like today's post by Donald, if you're watching the market lately, it's not really working anymore. The Dow is 50,000. The market has been like stagnant since Pam Bondi when the Dow was 50,000. Like this is a real post that from Donald Trump this morning about Iran, and that Iran has collapsed and they've given up and they're done. They're done with everything. Jeremy, do we have this post over here? Iran has just informed us. They just informed us, everybody. Iran has just informed us that they are in a state of collapse. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they're going to be able to do. Okay. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. You see, they reached out to me. Iran called. It's Iran. Mr. Trump, we've got Iran calling. Sir, we're giving up. We're surrendering, sir. We're not going to write it publicly, and we're going to still control the strip, but we're giving up. We need to figure out who's leading. We don't know. Is it the gay Ayatollah, Donald? Is it the gay Ayatollah? Is he running the show, or is it MB Ghalibaf, or is it Aragchi, or is it we don't know who, sir. We're going to check in with the gay Ayatollah, sir. I'm saying that facetiously, obviously. That's what Fox reports. Jesse Waters will be like, and the gay Ayatollah has been kidnapped by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. There's a coup underway. There's a coup. They just make up the craziest stuff. They make up, but you know what? Remember when Donald Trump claims that he was the one who stopped the war between India? All this is related in a way too, right? India, Pakistan go to war under Trump's watch last year, right? Donald Trump wants to take credit for ending the war between India and Pakistan because they're nuclear powers. So Trump can say, I saved 150 million lives. So Donald Trump said that he threatened tariffs against both countries, and that's what resolved the war. Now, Pakistan agreed with Trump because they're like, okay, let's just agree with what the guy's saying, and we can build more power. At the same time, Pakistan's been working with Saudi Arabia in order to have a defense pact where Pakistan gets lots of financial contributions from the Saudis. In return, they're going to help Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia claims it's going to help Pakistan, but they've entered into an alliance there. And of course, Saudi Arabia is MBS, very closely aligned with Trump, or at least was. Now he's pulling out a lot of money from the United States, from all of these, all of these companies that Saudi Arabia has invested in. And then the Pakistanis invest in World Liberty Financial, Trump's crypto company. By the way, that World Liberty is being sued by one of their initial investors who has criticized everybody at World Liberty Financial of financial misconduct. So the Pakistanis did that. India said, we're not going to say that you brokered this with tariffs. That's not what happened. We're not going to give you credit for doing it. It's a national sovereignty issue for India that we're not giving you credit for. Student, you never even picked up that. We didn't take your call. What are you talking about? And so just so you know, Pakistan got into the graces of the United States through that endeavor right there. But Trump invented that he was the one who stopped the India and Pakistan war. And then he's made up that he's solved 10 different wars right now. And he just makes up wars. Like he says he stopped certain wars in Africa. And like he has the leaders show up while the war is like happening. And he's like, I did this. Look, I stopped this war. He pretends that there's a ceasefire in Gaza when the genocide continues. He claims that, just random things that just aren't happening. And it's just over and over and over, just this constant, I remember here in California, when the fires, when I had to evacuate my home with my family and the fires were close to my home, idiot was like, you know why the fires started? Because Newscomb didn't turn on the faucet and he was focused on the smelt fish and he wanted to save the smelt. So that's what happened. Then when the fires were contained, Trump's like, I turned on the faucet. And then after the fires were contained, he sent the Army Corps of Engineers to like central, northern-ish California to go into California reservoirs and dump 2 billion gallons of water onto the farmlands at a time when that water was needed for the use in the summer. And then he goes, look, I turned on the faucet and that put out the fires. And that water is not even connected to Southern California and Los Angeles. I mean, I just want you to think of these like truly demented things while corporate news is like, Donald, we need to, we tone it down, everybody. Tone it down. Really? The guy's committing war crimes every damn day. The guy's covering up the Epstein files every damn day. Bankruptcies among farmers are up 46% year over year. In the Midwest, up 70%. Food inflation is up 7.8% year over year. The price of things like tomatoes are up 90% year over year. Ground beef up like 40% year over year. You want to tone it down, MeidasTouch. Chill, Democrats. Chill, independents. Chill out. Take a chill pill. Donald Trump survived. Courageous man. Give him another medal. Chill, everybody. And let's not criticize dear leaders' policies that are killing people in the United States of America. Let's all just take a chill pill, everybody. So utterly despicable. We've got a lot more to discuss on the show. We're going to take our first and only quick break of the show. A reminder, hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. Let's take our first quick break of the show. We'll be right back.
This Mother's Day, I've been thinking about the little things that actually define who our moms are. And for me, it's the way my mom is always checking in, making sure I'm okay, quick texts here and there. Nothing big, but that means everything. Those are the moments that stick with you. And honestly, those are the moments that I want to hold on to. That's why I love Aura Frames. It lets me load up all these real in-between photos, not the posed ones, but the candid shots, her laughing at dinner, random family moments, the stuff that actually captures her personality. And with Aura, those memories aren't buried in your phone. They're right there, easy to relive anytime. One of my favorite features is you could preload photos before it ships, so it's ready the second she opens it, and it comes in a premium gift box, so it feels special right out of the gate. Make Mother's Day special with Aura Frames. Named #1 by Wirecutter, you can save on the gifts moms love by visiting auraframes.com. For a limited time, listeners can get $25 off their best-selling Carver matte frame with code MIDAS, MEIDAS. That's auraframes.com, AURA frames.com, promo code Meidas, MEIDAS. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Whether you're planting now or later, Fast Growing Trees has everything you need to make your dream yard a reality, starting with the best quality and selection of plants delivered to your door. Fast Growing Trees is America's largest online nursery with over 1,600 unique trees and plants. They've been delivering trees and plants since 2005, so they know how to do it right. They have all the plants that your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to get your dream yard. Order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days without ever leaving home. Their Live and Thrive guarantee ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy, ready to thrive in your yard. All plants and trees are locally grown in the U.S. and cared for by experts before they ship to you. So I ordered a lemon tree from Fast Growing Trees a few years ago at this point, and it is still going strong. Every time I walk up to my door, I get hit with the smell of fresh citrus. It's amazing being able to grow my own fruit right in my yard without hiring a landscaper or spending a fortune. Fast Growing Trees saved me easily like 90% of the cost of hiring a landscaper to do this for me, and I didn't have to give up an entire Saturday driving around to nurseries that may or may not have had what I wanted. No messy car, no wasted trips, no guessing. They delivered everything right to my door, and it actually thrived. This season, they have the best deals for your yard, including up to half off tons of plants and other deals. And listeners to our show get 20% off their purchase when using the code Meidas at checkout. That's 20% off their purchase at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code Meidas at checkout. MEIDAS. Now is the perfect time to plant. Use Meidas to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Check out the link below or in the show notes and support the show.
Love those ad reads over there. Shout out to our pro-democracy sponsors for making this show possible. Discount codes are in the description below. My younger brother, Jordy, spends a lot of time with all of those sponsors, picking the right sponsors, we hope, getting you the right discount codes. Jordy spends a lot of time negotiating those, so hopefully it's helpful and you like those products. You know, as a law professor, I never a thing about me in politics. And I say this, and my wife sometimes disagrees with me, so I'll give her a shout out. I say I really don't actually like politics. And she's like, what are you talking about? You love politics. That's all you do all day. I said, I hear you, but I don't like the politicians. I mean, I interview them. I find the dynamic to be fascinating. But early on, after COVID, as I started kind of getting into it, and I thought, well, why am I interested in this? And I assumed, okay, well, you have to be very political if you want to be talking in this space. And then I realized why I wasn't political all my life, why I was a civil rights lawyer, and I represented Democrats, Republicans, independents. You know, look, I practiced law for a lot of years. Most of my cases were in Bakersfield in Kern County. And if you know about that area, I could pretty much assure you that a lot of my clients probably ended up becoming MAGA at some point, or they were Republican at that time, or Tea Party people. But I'll tell you what, when the Bakersfield police or the Kern County sheriffs, or if you go a little further up to the next county in Fresno, when there was a police shooting and they came to me for help, the people, whether they were a Republican or Democrat or an independent, I never asked. They wanted accountability, and they felt some big, powerful force was bullying them and lying to them and misrepresenting. If you know my story in Bakersfield, there's actually a Hulu documentary on that story that I did with Colin Kaepernick. It's called Killing County, if you ever want to watch it. But we uncovered that in Bakersfield, there were police officers who were dealing the drugs into the community and using confidential informants as their drug mules back in 2013 through 2015 to push the drugs, the meth, into the community. And there was a police shooting death involving individuals who they claim were the attackers. And one of them was this guy, Jorge Ramirez, who I represented his family. And his girlfriend previously put this like spyware app on his phone because she thought that he was cheating on her. And there's apparently a spyware app that lets you look at somebody's text messages. And what she uncovered was when Ramirez was shot and killed, he was working as a confidential informant, telling the Bakersfield police where he was going on this specific evening because he was with somebody that the Bakersfield police wanted to capture. And Ramirez was an informant that they were keeping off the books because he was a previous drug dealer, and they were utilizing him as, or trying to groom him as part of their own network. And so some of the police didn't know that he was a CI. They thought that he was the bad guy. And some of them knew, but they wouldn't want to tell the others that he's our informant. So when they show up, they killed their own informant in a shooting. And that opened up this entire situation where people started looking into Bakersfield, and all of these cases got dismissed because the prosecutions were tainted by bad evidence and a corrupt police. Then the DOJ got involved and issued a consent decree based on the work that we did there in Bakersfield. And I pointed out because that's my passion with all of this. And even right now, when I think about the first segment that we did together, I don't think that it was political. And I don't dislike Trump because he's Trump. You know, there's a lot of billionaires out there who I don't spend time talking about. You know, there's a lot of people out there. You know, if he was this weirdo, eclectic rich guy who kept to himself in Mar-a-Lago, who had a weird reality show at one point in time, and he engaged in bad behavior, I'd probably maybe call out the bad behavior, but I'm not going to waste my time. The issue is public service, not Democrat, Republican, Independent. The issue is public service and the truth. When you are a politician, when you are supposed to be a part of our American system, not the Russian system or the North Korean system, you're supposed to be a public servant. Public servant. You're supposed to serve. You know, when I think about somebody like a Kash Patel, when I think about somebody like a Hegseth, when I think about somebody like a Todd Blanche, setting aside these personalities, I think, though, wow, what an incredible honor to hold these positions where you could do so much for the people, where you've achieved a level of success in your private life that you can step into the public arena, because you should be set for life at that point, and you can make a sacrifice to bring your skills to bear and to help the people, to listen to the people, to hear what people are going through, and to then use all of the experience that you have, whether it's in business, whether it's in military, whether it's in science, whether it's on social media, whatever, to deliver results for the people and to be judged by what you're doing for the people, public service. And so much corporate news focuses on narratives and gamifying politics. Who's up, who's down, who's up, who's down, the intrigue, the conflict. Pull back. Why do we have politics at all? Why are we here on this planet at all? What's the purpose of all of this? Is it to be mean and to bully and to demean and go to war and to kill and to harm? Is that what the purpose of this is? Or in the short time that we've been blessed with, whether you're religious, not religious, no religion at all, I use blessing in a very secular sense here. The chance of being born is 1 in 500 trillion. If you go back and you think about all of your great-great-grandparents who met the great-great-grandparents that led to you, not just initial sperm and egg of your parents, which is in the hundreds of billions, but if you go back and says, what was the chance of this person meeting that person? It's like 1 in 500 trillion that you're here on this planet. I think about that a lot because I think, is the point here to be mean to transgender people who are just trying to live their life? Is the point to be mean to this group or to that group or to bully or to take or to start wars or to kill or to hoard money or to be so greedy? Or is the point to like just give something back and to help and to tell the truth and to be honest and to live a life with integrity? And we're all going to make mistakes, then to own up to the mistakes when you make the mistakes, right? Why we need to talk more about that and behaving with dignity, just be a good damn person. That's what I tell my wife is the most things that I care about here. So when I think about the first segment, there's nothing to me that was like anti-Republican or even like it's just anti-stupidity. It's anti the lies. It's anti the hate. It's anti all of these things that are just dividing us. That to me is the essence of what this network is about. And sure, I got to react to breaking news here and breaking news here. But I think fundamentally at the core, right wing has this fire hose of lies and disinformation that props up an oligarchy of authoritarianism. That's the end game. So I hope to do the fire hose of truths, to get out there as much truthful information, to deconstruct their lies, and to help just rally people together around the truth. I mean, if you think about it, going back to the first segment, when it comes to glyphosate, that is killing people. So when Trump promotes it, he's killing people. And when you've tried to build a movement of people who are out there outspoken about we need to stop this, it's killing people, and your move is to help kill more people by making it the preferred herbicide of the government. And then you tell me to tone down the rhetoric. There's nothing to tone down. This isn't like as I said before, it's not deeply personal against a human being because they're a human. It's because you're not behaving like a public servant. You're behaving like a malignant, narcissistic maniac hell-bent on dividing a great nation. That's what it comes from. So when I think about this, I think about being a law professor. I think about teaching my undergrad students the art of law, the importance of legal precedent, why it was important once upon a time to work at the Department of Justice under either administration. And right now, when I see a filing signed by the top DOJ officials, that is a long version of a social, not even a long version. Trump writes these really long, stupid social media posts. But when I look at this, I go, this is embarrassing for the nation, regardless of your political party. When Donald Trump does fake negotiations with Iran that aren't happening, that's embarrassing for our nation. That's embarrassing for our nation. Go to the King Charles clip, Jeremy, where King Charles says, the words of America still matters. Like the word is everything. Your credibility is your word. And especially in international diplomacy, trust is the most important capital. And that's what King Charles was saying here. Here, play this clip.
America's words carry weight and meaning, as they have since independence. The actions of this great nation matter even more.
And it's a significant statement, right? We got independence from them, the kings. And he's saying the weight of your word since you beat us, right? It's a fairly humble thing to say. Matters. But more important than your words are your actions also. And that's clearly a message. There's no other way to read it. So then when I see at the same time that's going on, the Trump regime's DOJ files this document, I think to myself, what are we doing here? Defendants Rule 62.1 motion for an indicative ruling dissolving the court's injunction. First off, a very idea of an indicative ruling is like a weird thing to request. Dissolving the court's injunction. That's the Comey indictment, Jeremy. That's not the right document. It's the one that's Trump's DOJ post. Here's what it says, though. It says the National Trust for Historic Preservation is a beautiful name, but even their name is fake, because when they add the words "in the United States" to the National Trust for Historic Preservation, It makes it sound like a governmental agency, which it is not. In fact, the United States refused to continue funding it in 2005 because they strongly disagreed with their mission and objectives. They are very bad for our country. They stop many projects that are worthy and hurt many others. In this case, they are trying to stop one that is vital to our national security and the safety of all presidents of the United States, both current and future, their families, staff, and cabinet members. They were asked by the United States military not to bring this suit because of the top secret nature of the important facility being built. They were shown detailed plans and specifications of this knitted, unified, and cohesive structure by top officers and leaders in both the military and Secret Service. But this did not deter them because they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, commonly referred to as TDS, as noted by Democrat Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, and are represented by the lawyer for Barack Hussein Obama, Gregory Craig. The lower section of the building does not work without the upper section, and likewise, the upper section of the building does not work without the lower. It is all one highly integrated unit! Exclamation point. As an example, one venting system, one electrical system, one plumbing system, one security system, one air conditioning and heating system, one elevator connector, and very importantly, one structural steel enforced concrete system, and more. Even the bulletproof windows and glass and the heavy steel drone-proof roof protect what is below. With such a facility, it would have been impossible for an attack like that which took place last Saturday evening in D.C. when an attempted assassin armed with a shotgun, pistol, and knives charged through the security checkpoint at the Washington Hilton in an attempt to assassinate President Donald J. Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and members of the cabinet and senior staff during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The Secret Service fortunately neutralized the assassin before he could reach the ballroom. However, Saturday's narrow miss, which marks the third assassination attempt on Trump since 2024, confirms what should have already been obvious. Presidents need a secure space for large events that currently does not exist in D.C., and this court's injunction stalling this project cannot defensively continue for the sake of safety of Trump, future presidents, and their families, cabinets, and staff. Defendants thus request that this court issue an indicative ruling under Rule 62.1 that it will dissolve its injunction. The assassination attempts, including the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, where an assassin's bullet hit the president's ear, is enough. Yes, folks, the bullet, an AR-15 bullet, hit his ear. It hit the lobe, but it just nicked it. It didn't leave a big mark because everybody knows that when you get hit by an AR-15 bullet in the face, it just leaves a little boo-boo. A little boo-boo with a little bandage. That's what an AR-15 bullet. Whoosh. That's all. Just a little boo-boo is what Donald Trump says. Can you really? Let's be very clear. We condemn political violence in all of its forms. Period. Full stop. As I said before, condemning political violence is not a partisan issue. Political violence needs to stop. Period. Full stop. At the same time, that shouldn't make us tone down legitimate criticisms of policies that are killing Americans. It should not be used as pretext to silence Americans and further divide Americans and prevent and preclude Americans to utilize their First Amendment rights to criticize policies that are harmful, catastrophic wars, inflation, covering up the Epstein files, and other really dangerous policies. It also should not mean that we can't ask very basic questions and get truthful answers. Why didn't Donald Trump release the medical records from Butler, Pennsylvania? Why didn't he release them? Where are they? Why did Ronnie Jackson give a summary of what he believes happened? Why don't we have those records? The same way you go back to Trump's initial campaign in 2015. Remember, he said he was going to release Melania's immigration records? 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. Just wait 2 weeks. I'm going to hold the press conference in 2 weeks. Donald Trump knows how to play the corporate news easily. He knows they have a short attention span. You create one weapon of mass distraction off the other weapon of mass distraction, and then you say 2 weeks. You hope they forget about it. The same way Trump files a lawsuit, frivolous, always opinion, and then he delays the lawsuit over and over and over again. And then when the case ultimately gets dismissed or goes away, people forget about it. But he got the headline that he brought a $10 billion lawsuit, a $5 billion lawsuit. He gets to fundraise off it. My healthcare plan is going to come in 2 weeks. The Iran resolution is about to happen. Don't you worry. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Then you just interpose a new distraction over and over and over again. And we, the people, deserve to question and ask, what the hell are you doing? Why is every word, sound, utterance, coming out of this regime just always a lie? Why is it? Why did they turn the incident, apparently at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, into some weird ballroom thing where all they talk about is weird? That's a weird behavior. That's a strange way to respond to this, to take something totally unrelated. Because why would the White House Correspondents' Dinner take place in a ballroom when the very purpose, first off, even the ballroom was not the size of the Hilton ballroom, to be clear. Also, the Secret Service perimeter seemed to work, which is one of the things that they said. And then why would they turn it into this weird thing? Like, why every event that happens in DC has to happen in the ballroom now? Why we don't want to do it in the ballroom? Why have you turned it into this anti-No Kings protest? Why can't you just be normal? If you got the bad guy, you got the bad guy. We do an investigation into it. You charge the bad guy, prosecute him. If the threat is too severe, you reschedule the event. You move on, but you turn it into this weird thing. And then when people are criticizing you, don't criticize me. Don't criticize me. Why? You've now turned something into a divisive issue. And all the press were like, we need to, very impressive how Donald Trump carried himself. It was a unifying moment. No, it wasn't a unifying moment. What are you talking about? Within 12 hours, he started attacking the press and saying, they're the enemy of the people, or words that you're despicable, you're disgusting, Kimmel should be fired. It's Kimmel's fault. It's Comey's fault. It's weird. It's weird. Jimmy Kimmel's fault? James Comey's fault? For Jimmy Kimmel told a joke? James Comey posted seashells? This is how you behave. It's a weird behavior. Then Lindsey Graham is like, hey, everybody, I'm Lindsey Graham. Here's what I think that's my Lindsey Graham impression. I'm Lindsey Graham, everybody. We need to go to war. Whatever Netanyahu says, everybody. That's a bad Lindsey Graham impression. Here, play it.
Well, I find it appropriate if you're going to have the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, the Speaker of the House, and half the cabinet in a room, the room matters. And the idea that you can't do this in the ballroom will be up to the Correspondents Association. It is insane to do this again. Anybody who suggests that we have an event like this in the times in which we live in a facility like Hilton, that's crazy. We're going to have to accommodate the times in which we live. And Eric, you nailed it. You did. There are people out there that are nuts, being driven to take up violence is an acceptable outcome in too many people's opinion. So no, we're going to build this facility, and I would suggest to the next president, don't go to the Hilton.
This guy literally gets horny over war. Whatever's going on in his private life, I don't pry into, other than it seems that war literally arouses the guy. We gotta go take over Cargill Island, send American soldiers to their death. I mean, it seems that it's whatever whatever's going on in the private world of his, he carries it into the public world. of like literally being like aroused by war and apparently aroused by ballrooms. Just again, just the behavior is so. I know you don't like when I say weird or odd because it doesn't do it justice how dangerous it is. Fair. It's a very fair point. But like, imagine if this energy was spent like, I don't know, doing what politicians are supposed to do. It's not supposed to be about UFC fights or golden ballrooms or triumphal arches or mocking former presidents with posts of the reflecting pool from 2004 and then saying Hussein Obama over a manipulated AI reflecting pool from 2004 and then doing an AI photo of a reflecting pool now under Trump and saying Trump versus Hussein Obama. You know, the idea of public service is not supposed to be about cutting off people from accessing food stamps or ripping away people's health care or attacking Somalian community or mocking transgender athletes. Like that's not what imagine if that energy that you saw about ballrooms and arches and UFC fights and Apache helicopters for Kid Rock. Repeat, I guess that's like a new thing. You know, in season 6 of the Trump regime, Kid Rock gets an Apache helicopter flight every other day. That's, you know, there was a weird season of this one where now Kid Rock, a recurring subplot is Kid Rock gets to fly in Apaches all of the time in this freaking weirdo dystopian hellscape. It's not what this is supposed to be about. Regardless of what political party you're from, what you should care about is helping the people, managing costs, making it cheaper, helping people get jobs that can pay them with dignity, help people afford homes and pay their rent and make things cheaper and get people affordable groceries and affordable gas and let them go and live their lives. Let them just be in peace and stop intruding, stop treading on them with all of this bizarre and dangerous stuff. Stop it. Cut it out on a bipartisan basis. Just stop this. Stop it. It's, you know, and this corporate news shit is unwatchable. It's unwatchable how they fall in line behind these stupid, trite narratives over and over again. It's so dumb and pathetic how they just fall right into it. And it's like, garbage. Just complete and utter garbage. Which is why we thank you for helping grow this independent media network. We're grateful for you. Do me a favor, make sure you hit subscribe. Help us get to 10 million subscribers. We probably have to hit 7 million first. Help us get to 7 million subscribers, then 10 million subscribers. But let's get to 7 million first. Subscribe to the MeidasTouch on audio, share, tell people. Word of mouth is often the best way to grow this platform. You can become a member of our YouTube. If you like this show and you want to support the network, become a member of our YouTube. And you can gift memberships to other people who may not be able to afford memberships. You can click the button that says join, and then you could buy a membership and gift memberships to others. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. And are we going to do the Boomerang to Katie Fang show there, Jeremy? Have we set up the Katie Fang Boomerang, or do we need to do that? Or should I just tell people to go to the Katie Fang show, right? It's Tuesday. So isn't Katie Fang on Tuesday after this show, Jeremy or team? Or I'm going to filibuster. Yeah. Can we set the can we do the automatic right now while I filibuster and read people's comments? If there's a way, I don't know if it's a long process or not. All right. But, you know, I'm going to do that thing where after people do like the show, they're like, all right, everybody, now become a member. You're watching, gift memberships to people if you can. Let's give members for other people. Thank you, Surrealist9943. Thank you for gifting Should I give shout outs to people who give memberships right now while we do the automatic? All right, give memberships. I'll give you a shout out right now while we set up the automatic boomerang. Jeremy, can you let me know if we're setting it up or what we're going to do with it, if it's an automatic setup or what the latest is? Just remind them the channel is okay. That's it, everybody. We did it. We made it. We landed the plane. You should be automatically sent to Katie Fang's at Katie Fang News right now for her show. If not, just go to Kate. Just search it yourself, Katie Fang, and watch her show. We love Katie Fang. We love her show. And we love that she brought the lawsuit against the Trump regime under the Epstein Transparency Act to get those Epstein files. Great work, Katie Fang. All right, everybody. Oh, I told people I would shout them out. Shout out Chaos Druid. Shout out Kevin Hogg 2928. Shout out 2027 midterms. All right, I shouted out everybody who did the members. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Hit subscribe.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.